Namo. Thanks for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The third mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I vow to cultivate responsibility and learn ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. I'm determined not to engage in sexual relations without love and a long-term commitment. To preserve the happiness of myself and others, I'm determined to respect my commitments and the commitments of others. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. For our Dharma lessons, we're reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. We're in a chapter called Truly Comfortable, and today's section is Making Preference Conscious. The wise way to relate to our preferences is to recognize that everyone has them, but that when they are not understood, they limit our experience. We all prefer to have agreeable sensations. It's completely natural to have bodily preferences. In meditation, for example, we're encouraged to be still, to discipline the body, to focus attention until body and mind are in harmony and we attain one-pointedness. In the tranquility of such samadhi, one is able to read the mind's reality quite differently from when body and mind are distracted and dissipated. We are encouraged to cultivate this one-pointedness, and when we experience it, there's no doubt about its value. Yet to reach such stillness, there has to be restraint. When we sit still, the body often feels uncomfortable, and this discomfort doesn't accord with our preferences. If we don't understand that our preferences need to be countered, then we won't be able to get to this one-pointedness with which we can more accurately read reality. We will feel uncomfortable, get distracted, and move. We don't go against our preferences because there's anything inherently wrong with preferences. In truth, that which is causing the problem is the way we relate to our preferences. We counter them so we are not pushed around by them. Our enjoyment of pleasure is natural, and yet we get ourselves into all sorts of tangles in our pursuit of it. If we are suffering as a result of our pursuit of pleasure, an initial attitude might be to take a position against pleasure. We interpret the Buddhist teachings as saying that our preference for pleasure over pain is in itself the cause of suffering. If this is our motivation for practice, again, we could cause ourselves more troubles. We should remember the exhortation to exercise extreme care in how we pick up the teachings. And the chant we recite together in the monastery every 2 weeks after the recitation of the Patimokkha rules, there is a verse that says, "This training wrongly held will lead to increased pain, just as kusa grass wrongly grasped will cut the hand." Kusa grass is a tough grass they have in India that has a sharp edge. I'm sure you get the picture. More immediately, we could talk about going out to cut the grass along the edge of the walking meditation tracks in the walled garden. And instead of picking up the sickle by the handle, heedlessly picking it up by the blade, we'd cut our hand. Not only will we have increased our suffering, but also now we won't be able to cut the grass. The Buddha's metaphor for picking up the training on restraint rightly applies especially to the training in celibacy. Making the choice to renounce intentional sexual activity is not a recipe for an easy life, Buddhist scriptures and our own European monastic records are filled with stories of tragic misadventure on this path. So our training is always emphasizing mindfulness in our efforts to be restrained. Feelings of sexual interest are not to be blindly controlled with will, nor are they to be dismissed with habitual judgment as wrong or right, as the case may be. Rather, they are to be fully received with awareness and sensitivity as they manifest. They are simply to be known, but not followed. In this way, restraint of the untamed passions is exercised. Energy is contained and made available for the process of purifying the heart of greed, aversion, and delusion. We are going against our conditioned, superficial preferences, but in a way that leads to freedom, not more stress. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo Adidafa. Thanks so much for joining me today.